Each week, former South Carolina State Senators Vincent Shaheen and Joel Laurie come together to record their new podcast. In the podcast, called Bourbon in the Backroom, the two discuss what really happens at the South Carolina State House over, of course, a glass of bourbon. With 35 combined years of experience in state government, it may seem odd that these two are diving into a bottle of bourbon in the middle of the day. But Shaheen and Laurie say they started the podcast to solve what they say is a very real problem.
People don't know what's going on in their state government.
It's really what happens at the State House that affects their everyday life, a hell of a lot more than what happens in D.C.
They say a decline in the number of reporters covering state government has resulted in much of what happens at the State House being left out of the headlines, leaving voters less informed.
So my uncle was there in the 80s and 90s, and he would say there would be almost 50 members of the press corps at the State House every day. When I got there, there was probably 20, maybe, and by the time I left, there was maybe 4 or 5 who were regularly there.
A study from the Pew Research Center shows that the number of full-time State House reporters across the country declined by 35% between 2003 and 2014. The state newspaper reporter Christina Myers, who covers South Carolina politics, say political reporters do the best with what they have.
And I promise you, from my experience and what I've observed and what I've read, that they're doing all they can to cover as much as possible.
Newspapers, though, are the type of news source that has the most State House coverage, according to Pew Research, yet they have been hit particularly hard by financial struggles. In February, media company McClatchy filed for bankruptcy. McClatchy is the owner of South Carolina's The State newspaper, though the company's filing said the financial struggles would not affect the number of people working in the newsroom. Still, the former senators say more can be done.
The other thing is that people don't know about the state elected officials. So I feel like they're very uninformed when they vote.
The two can add senators and now journalists to their resumes.
Backroom.
Bourbon in the back room.
There you go.
For Carolina Insider, I'm Flynn Snyder.